Well, good morning, everyone. Again, welcome to another live, and good to be on with you this morning. I will take a minute to say hi to a few people. A reminder that we'll be on again at 10 o'clock. So to do another live, so good morning to you. Okay, here we go. We got some people coming on with us. Good to have you on. Jerry, how are you? And Andrea from New Brunswick watching this morning. Jerry from Hartley, Quebec. Hartley or Hatley, Quebec. Good to have you on. Brandy and Steph, bonjour. Steph says, I want to be in your pool. We got it. It's about 85 degrees there. It's beautiful. It's not a pool. It's a hot tub these days. It's so nice. Bev, good morning. Jean, Keith, how are you? And you guys are great. Thanks for coming on. Donna, good to have you on with us this morning. I just don't want to miss anybody. First ones that come on. Karen from Muskoka. I bet you it's beautiful in Muskoka this morning, isn't it? Okay, so what are we doing this morning? Esther from sunny Miami. Hey, well, we're getting a little bit of Miami, Esther, right now. This week has been Miami weather. Now, the only problem with us, it don't last long. Charlotte, good morning to you, okay? And Francine, fidèle au poste. Merci, Francine. On l'apprécie beaucoup, okay? So, and Nick, how are you? And Yolande, bonjour. Wellen and Lorraine are on with us this morning. Sherry, John, my buddy, in Elgin, Illinois. Carmen and Kathy and Elaine. Okay, here we go. Maria from Toronto. Okay, good morning to you. From coast to coast, all across the world, we've had them from South Africa to the Middle East and Pakistan and you name it. And they've been on with us, so we're very happy. Brenda and Lena and Diane. I know I missed some people, okay? And sorry about that. Okay, here we go. We're talking this morning about everything COVID. I just want to give you a recap about COVID, what we know today compared to what we knew back in March. We started talking about it. I went back, and I think the first time we talked about COVID was in January. Wow. So almost 6 months ago, we first mentioned it. And we know a lot more today than we did. So I just want to recap some things. But more particular, I really want to emphasize a couple of things for you. Because, you know, everybody got affected by it. The whole world. I never thought, okay? So you know that I'm not a prophet nor the son of one. Because if you'd have told me in January, well, heck, if you would have told me in March, Tony Jr., okay, he spent a week with us down in Florida. And when he got back, he kept telling me, Dad, you better come home. They're going to close the world down. I said, not a chance. It's never going to happen. But guess what? He was right and I was wrong. Okay? And I happened to be there in Orlando. I'd gone up to visit my daughter and her family, and they closed Disneyland. They closed Major League Baseball. We went to the last exhibition game in Dunedin to see the Blue Jays. We saw their last game. They closed Disneyland while we were there, and they closed the beach in Hollywood, Florida, while we were there. I was just astounded. And so we didn't even fly home. We drove home with my sister. And on the way home, it was incredible. Like the world had just sort of stopped. And you couldn't give cash at the gas stations. I tell you, it's unbelievable. I never thought I would see the day. So, okay, here we are down the road. We're 3 months into this thing, and we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about ourselves, big time. We learned a lot. Okay, so now whether I am not going to get into the politics of it too much, okay? I don't want to do that because it's already water under the bridge. I think I mentioned this yesterday. We should have an inquiry, a big inquiry as to, did we do some things right? Did we do some things wrong? What do we know? Okay? And I think we should, so that we don't repeat any of the mistakes that we made, because we made mistakes, and that's where I want to talk about this morning. What mistakes did we make? Okay, what mistakes did we make? And again, I don't want to get into, it's already done. We already closed down the world, and a lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of people lost their businesses. Will we ever fully recover? I don't know. Okay, again, I'm not a prophet nor the son of one, so I don't know exactly. I just know a lot of people were hurt. I talked to an individual on, last night was Wednesday, so Tuesday night, I talked to an individual, and I really sort of hit me. He said to me, young man, I've been really depressed since COVID. So guess what we talked about yesterday? Depression, okay? We talked about depression. And I tell you, folks, that I think, and this is just me, I'm going to give you a little prediction again. What do I know? The biggest thing coming out of this, I mean, I'm going to make some major points this morning, but one of the biggest things going forward is the amount of anxiety and the amount of depression that we're going to see. This is my opinion. The amount of anxiety and depression. And yesterday we talked about the suicides. And, you know, nobody's talking about those things. And we talked about depression and, you know, in a physiological sense, what happens. And we talked about deficiencies. And that was yesterday. So if you haven't seen that one, watch that. Will be a soon to be a podcast. But if you get a chance, you can watch the video, okay? So let's talk about all things COVID. One of the things that happen is they use models. And again, I don't want to get into the politics so much, but they use models to show that if we didn't close the world down, you know, millions and millions of people would have died, okay? So they were false models, first of all, but it's just amazing how fast things and rapidly happened. It was just one thing after another got closed down. And even today, here in Ontario, at least where I am, you know, we're in Sudbury. There was never a curve in Sudbury. There was never COVID in Sudbury. I mean, there was a few cases, but it just like, I mean, there was a lot more flu than there was COVID. And they shut Sudbury down, and we're still shut down in some ways. And all the new, you know, what they call a new normal. But when we went through this, okay, there's a few things that I brought to you that I think are significant. And if we don't learn the lessons of what happened during this crisis, I tell you, folks, remember the day that I brought to you the elephant in the room? You remember that? What's the elephant in the room? Well, people that got sick, okay? Now, never mind, please. Not that they're not significant. They're very significant part of our population. The senior citizen. Somebody said to me, Dr. Martin, they're talking about you. I never sort of see myself as, you know, when I said we should isolate the seniors in the homes because they're the most vulnerable. Was I right? I was 100% right about that. But somebody said, Doc, that means you can't leave either because you're a senior. Well, I wasn't so much thinking about me. But remember the elephant in the room, okay? You remember the elephant in the room? What is the elephant in the room? Metabolic syndrome. The people who were getting sick, remember the word pre-existing conditions? You remember that? Well, what were the pre-existing conditions? All of them were metabolic syndrome. And that's what I focus on. This is what we talk about just about every day. Metabolic syndrome. What is metabolic syndrome? Number one, insulin resistance or high circulating insulin. It's food. Metabolic syndrome is a food disorder. And metabolic syndrome creates inflammation. And what are the signs? High blood pressure, high blood sugar. You only need to have one of these to be characterized as metabolic syndrome. High blood pressure, high blood sugar, high uric acid, belly fat, liver, fatty liver, high triglycerides, and low HDL. That, my friend, is metabolic syndrome. This is why when you send me blood work, you know what I'm looking at? I look at a few things, but what I'm more interested in is whether you have metabolic syndrome or not. And all I need is two things to find out. One, give me your triglycerides and give me your HDL, your good cholesterol. I'll tell you in 5 seconds whether you have metabolic syndrome or not. I don't even need to know your blood sugar levels. I don't even need to know your insulin levels. Or your A1C. I like A1C. I like to read it. But if you give me those two numbers, I'll tell you in 5 seconds. And if you got bad triglycerides, you're a carboholic. Simple as that. And you're on the Titanic. And the biggest thing that we talked about in COVID is the elephant in the room, because people with pre-existing conditions like diabetes, well, diabetes is metabolic syndrome. Pre-diabetes is metabolic syndrome. It's a syndrome. It's a modern day curse. Go back 50 years, there was very little of it. There was some, but very little. Today, it's a scourge in society. So that's one big headline during the COVID that we talked about. So if you want, go back on a podcast and look at the elephant in the room. Now, brought to you by the Martin Clinic, okay? So we talked about that. So, and nobody else was talking about it. They just said, well, pre-existing conditions. Well, they didn't really go into what is a pre-existing condition. It's metabolic syndrome. That was the number one thing. Of course, if you had cancer therapy or whatever, but even cancer is a metabolic disease. Sugar feeds cancer. Remember that. So if you want to know if you got metabolic syndrome or not, you got high blood pressure, you have metabolic syndrome. You got even normal but high normal blood sugars, you have metabolic syndrome. You have any start of fatty liver, and if your triglycerides are high, you got fatty liver. The parking lot is full. The Costco parking lot is full. Your liver. Your suitcase is full. And it sends your fat in the liver into the bloodstream as triglycerides. And the other one is HDL, your FedEx trucks on the highways of your blood vessels, taking away your triglycerides. These things are really important, guys. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Okay, now, here's another headline. Okay, another headline that we brought to you through COVID. One of them was metabolic syndrome. It was the elephant in the room, and nobody was talking about it. All they were talking about is the virus, the virus, the virus, the virus. You talk to 90% of the doctors today, and all they want to do is talk about the virus. They want to talk about social distancing. They want to talk about you wearing a mask. They want to talk about, well, did you see the story that came out yesterday from sick kids? Now, sick kids are, I mean, as far as children go, sick kids are the #1 hospital in Canada for children. Sick kids in Toronto. What did they say? Open up the schools. And kids don't need to social distance. You're going to disturb their life. And children don't get COVID. And children don't spread COVID. They don't. Oh, Dr. Martin, there's somebody in Texas, a little kid that got sick. Jeepers creepers. I know there's people, probably one in the world, that's in the hospital because they, you know what? They drank too much water. Jeepers, guys. You don't build your models on exceptions. There's always going to be exceptions. You and I have different fingerprints. There's 7 point whatever billion people on the planet, and not one of us have the same fingerprint. Like somebody, well, Doc, I know, but I heard about somebody in Texas, and it was a kid that got COVID and died. Oh, yeah, I know there's always, but come on, guys. We got to talk about what sick kids said yesterday is so significant. I don't even know if you heard about it. They said the kids got to go back to school, and they can't social distance. It's not good for them. But they're going to set up the classrooms. You watch. They're going to set up the classrooms, and it's going to be craziness because of doctors can't get out of their little brains the virus. It's a virus. Well, jeepers, guys. There's viruses everywhere. There's bacteria everywhere. You can't get away from it. You can't. What are you going to do? Leave the planet? Let's all go up to Mars. There's probably no COVID there. No, but guys, seriously, that's what's happening. It's why we still in Sudbury are only on phase 2. They're worried about a second wave. For jeepers, there's going to be a second wave of everything. You get the flu shot every year. Do you get the flu shot the next year? Yeah. Why? Because if you do, it's because the flu's coming back. Every year there's a flu. True or false? Every year. Some outbreaks are worse than others. But every year there's a flu. Brought to you by the world. It's the world we live in. But we're also scared of the stinking virus. And nobody talked about the, now they want us to social distance. It was all right. You could go get your marijuana. You could go pick up your alcohol. You could go to Walmart, but you couldn't go to church. Oh. Or you couldn't go see your parent dying in the hospital. and you couldn't go to the funeral home. Man, anyway. So the biggest story was, a few of them. One, yesterday was a big story. I was giving high fives to people. You know why? I know I'm not supposed to touch their hands. But I still gave high fives to people. I said, sick kids had enough guts to come out and tell the truth about children. Now let's find out if anybody listens to them. I'll be surprised. Because people love rules and they love fear. And they're scared skinny. Right? Okay, now, so we talked about metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome is caused by food. It's crappy carbohydrates and sugar. You fix metabolic syndrome on the reset in 30 days. It's gone 100%. As my buddy George said this morning, I was reading his post on the Martin Clinic group, and he said, I laughed. He said, I think I might leave my pancreas in Hawaii for a little bit longer. Hi guys, you know my stupid expressions. When you see, because it's caused by your pancreas because of insulin. And insulin affects your liver. It affects your heart. It affects your brain. It affects your immune system. One of the biggest stories I brought to you, was about can't remember. Every day is the same for me now. I don't know what day is it today. I don't know. They're all the same. Anyway. Big stories, okay? So I'm just giving you headlines. One was sick kids. The first one was metabolic syndrome. Here's the headline. Another big headline. A lot of people miss it. As a matter of fact, I think I'm the only guy publicly that brought this study out from the United Kingdom. You know what they found? If you were obese, you were not making antibodies for the COVID virus. You weren't making antibodies. You didn't have any immunity for it. Now, obesity, guys, is a symptom of metabolic syndrome. It's a symptom of metabolic syndrome. It's not the cause, it's a symptom. And so what they found in the United Kingdom, and it was shocking to me, but I couldn't find it anywhere. There should have been headline after headline in the media. Obese people don't make antibodies. You know how they found that out? In 2018, they gave the flu shot to people that were obese, and they the flu shot, you're giving them the bug. You're giving them the pathogen, right? They give you a little bit of it so that you make antibodies for that particular virus, right? Or bacteria. That's what vaccines do, right? The flu shot just gives you the flu shot. It gives you flu, but it gives you a little bit so that your body makes antibodies. You understand that, right? Your body sees it and goes, oh, I know who you are. You're not my friend. I'm gonna block you. That's how your immune system works, okay? It makes antibodies. But if you have metabolic syndrome, you don't even make antibodies. You see the connection? I tell you guys, you knew me when that story came out, so look for that one. If you haven't, go back and get that podcast. The United Kingdom, and it didn't even hit North America. Like, guys, I found it, and I just about fell over when I found it, the study, but nobody reported on it. You want to see my blood pressure get up? And that's not, when my blood pressure goes up, it's not metabolic syndrome. It's me getting angry. Okay, mine is anger. It's not to do with what I'm eating. I get so, My wife says, relax. I know. I just can't handle it, guys. I can't handle it. What was another one that during COVID, and you probably saw this elsewhere because there are some that reported on it. People who got COVID, not only metabolic syndrome, the people who got really sick, you know what they had across the board? They had low levels of vitamin D. They had low levels of vitamin D. Isn't that incredible? Vitamin D, you know, the sun. The sun is so bright this morning, I had to put my umbrella up here to block it out, but I love the sun. Vitamin D, vitamin D, okay? So all I'm saying is, it's incredible, isn't it? Your vitamin D. And we talk about it all the time. It's an important vitamin. And it's so inexpensive, right? And you have dark skin. This is what was happening in the African American population in the United States and in the United Kingdom and Asia. What they were saying is people with the dark skin, they need more vitamin D than I do. They're pigment. They need to get more vitamin D. Okay? More vitamin D. That was an important finding, wasn't it? And here's one that I brought to you. Okay? Another one I brought to you. Vitamin A. Vitamin A. Remember this? I think it was the president of the United States called the virus the invisible enemy. Isn't that true? I think it was him who said it. I can't remember, but I think so. But the invisible mask is vitamin A. Because remember, that was significant. Because vitamin A protects you, like, you know, again, my blood pressure went up because some doctor said, hey, stop touching your face. Stop touching your face. How do you stop touching your face? I got an itchy nose. And we were laughing, I think the one that I did, because one of the politicians were telling people, like, quit touching their face. And as they were giving the thing, they went to turn the page of their notes. As they were telling us not to touch our face, they were touching their face. Why don't we, guys, I don't care if you want to wear a mask or not. That's up to you, okay? I don't care. I mean it. You want to wear a mask? Wear a mask. I showed you my mask, I think. I took a picture of it. My wife made me a mask. I look like a bank robber. Anyway, all I'm saying is, isn't it better that you take care of your immune system? You're always going to be around bugs, and this is why I love vitamin D and I love vitamin A. And vitamin A you don't get from carrots. You need 5 pounds of carrots to match one steak. The vitamin A in steak and in eggs and in cheese. Vitamin A, proretinol A, is found in the animal kingdom. It's not in the plants. The precursors in the plants. Beta-carotene. But beta-carotene is not vitamin A. I hate to disappoint you. It's found in steak, vitamin S. So vitamin A is found in steak. That's why I love steak. Eat your vitamin A. I want you to eat it. Another story we brought out during COVID was zinc. You heard about it. Zinc. Because zinc, they said, with hydrochloroquine, right? Hydroxychloroquine, was, a lot of doctors were using the malarial drug with zinc, and it seemed to be effective. So zinc got a lot of news. It did. It got a fair amount of mainstream media. How do you get zinc? Steak. Steak. Eat your zinc. Somebody asked me the other day about a supplement. Well, look, I take zinc in my prostate formula, okay? Because I take prostate formula. At my age, I want to keep my prostate, okay? And zinc, we put it in there, but I'm a big guy on eating zinc. And zinc and vitamin A, you can eat it. You can eat it with steak. Oh, see, my blood pressure's up, guys, today. I can't handle how nobody's talking about, well, if you have a good immune system, if you get outside. Now, you must remember, I said something from the day one about vitamin D. I said, and oh, wow, did I ever get a lot of criticism. I told people, I have a picture of the closing of the beach in Florida. I was upset. I was screaming, this is stupid. Bring all us Canadians and keep us on the beach. We don't have to worry about COVID on the beach. And I was right. 100%. It does not spread outdoors. And you know how we found out? You know how we found out I was right? You know what it did? Because everybody was scared skinny, social distance. And it wasn't until they started protesting, when there was the mass Black Lives Matter protesting, that they found out, because, oh yeah, but we have to let them protest. They're so angry. And then we found out, cheapers, nobody died from the virus. You know what, guys? Their gig was up. That was an experiment in the fact that I was right about going outside. If you're outside, you cannot transmit this virus. I was right. Get out in the sun. It doesn't even last 30 seconds outside, this virus. The virus hates the sun. It hates it. Build your immune system. That's what you needed to do, and that's what the message ought to be. And get rid of metabolic syndrome. The key to your health. But it's not just for the virus. It's for cancer. It's for cardiovascular. It's for diabetes. It's for Alzheimer's. It's for autoimmune. Get rid of metabolic syndrome. And everything gets better. Okay, I'm out of time. Ooh, I got to work out this morning. I was just getting into this, man. Hey, guys, I love you guys. Now listen to me. Listen to me. At 10 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, we have live with Tony Jr. and I, okay? So we're coming back on. If you don't know how to get on there, I can't help you. Ask Brandy, ask Jeanette, or ask Nicole. I have no idea, okay? Tony Jr., he sets me up, because if he didn't, I wouldn't know what to do. And I mean that. And here I am 3 months into this COVID of using Zoom, and I don't know much about it. But I'll be there, okay? Lord willing, at 10 o'clock. Okay? Now, tomorrow, for the people that can't join us and you want to ask questions, tomorrow is question and answer Friday. So send in your questions. If you haven't done so already, I will hit certain questions tomorrow. We'll talk about those and give you some answers, okay? And can you do yourself a favor and do us a favor too? Spread the message, share this with other folks, okay? Tell them about our podcast. These become podcasts. They can go to martinclinic.com and sign up to get the podcast, okay? I think that's where you go. What do I know? Okay. Guys, I love you guys. Yeah, somebody said you better cool down before 10. I think I'm going to go jump in that pool to cool down because I'm hot. Ooh. I can't stand being lied to. I don't know about you, but I can't stand it. Okay. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate it. I got to tell you this. You guys are the greatest. I mean it. The greatest. You put up with my rants. And the feedback we get are really, really encouraging to us, okay? And I want to thank our staff, too, that are really, really helpful, especially in that Martin Clinic Facebook group. So if you're not part of that, send your friends an invitation that they can join that group. That's a private group. It's a tremendous group, okay? I love the comments on there and the interaction, the feedback. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.